In this episode of Drumline Today, we're going to spend some time at the show before the show and examine some of the most iconic parking lot pieces. I've attempted to pick just 4 for my Mount Rushmore of the lot. For some of us, the lot is one of the best parts of any show. You can get up close and personal with the lines, and you can hear the details of the music that you can't always hear from the stands. Now, if you've ever been in the lot, you know that most lines progress from basic 8s through an increasingly complex set of exercises before moving into their show music. For a long time, this culminated in what's known as a shopping spree. The spree is an exercise that moves through permutations of various combinations of rudiments, most commonly flams and diddles. Think of them as a more creative version of a grid exercise. Often, these sprees or variations of the sprees would be used as the on-field warm-up or 60-second warm-up for the core. The first 60-second warm-up that I heard was the 1992 Blue Devils. You can even hear the tail end of the 60-second warm-up on the PBS broadcast from that year. There's just something about that combination of the tuning sequence with a shopping spree style warm-up by the battery that gives me goosebumps every single time. Let's listen to the 1990 Blue Devils 60-second warm-up, and in a rare occurrence on this show, we will hear some horns. Now, let's hear the 87 Blue Devils play that same 60-second warm-up without the horns. The Blue Devils 60-second warm-up gets the first spot on my Mount Rushmore of the lot. The George Washington, if you will. Starting in the late 80s and early 90s, a few lines started playing more complex warm-ups, and the concept of a lot etude was born. If we were putting faces on our parking lot Mount Rushmore, Murray Gusseck would be one of the first. Murray is one of the parking lot pioneers, and he has written so many iconic pieces that he could populate this list all on his own. Think about Double Beat 9000, Double Beat 2004, Flamus Nondragginus, and the incredibly fun and versatile Cheesy Poofs. All of these pieces are played every year by someone at every major competition. However, it's impossible to leave one of the original lot etudes off of our parking lot Mount Rushmore, Martian Mambo. Originally written in 1990 by then Santa Clara Vanguard marching member Murray Gusseck, Martian Mambo quickly became an in-demand SCV classic. Here's the 1991 Santa Clara Vanguard Battery playing Martian Mambo. can buy Martian Mambo and all of Murray's other great stuff at tapspace.com. If you were in the lot from 1994 through about 2010, and you heard screaming coming from across the lot, you knew what was coming next. If you happen to be close enough to hear Scott Johnson mumble the title of our next addition to our Mount Rushmore, you were one of those screaming. Of course, I'm talking about The Ditty, written by Kevin Murray. Technically, this is another 60-second warm-up, but few pieces left their mark on the lot like Ditty. Here's the first line to play Ditty, the 1994 Blue Devils on semifinals night. It took me a long time to decide who deserved the final spot on our Mount Rushmore, but I feel pretty good about my selection. It has ties to all of our previous selections, has a killer groove that grabs the crowd, and it has stood the test of time since 2014, and it has the legs to last for at least another decade. This is the first piece to take us away from the West Coast cores and to the Midwest, and we're going to hear the Bluecoats play Vortex by Roger Carter. Don't forget, if you've written a lot etude, cadence, drumline battle, or other drumline piece, we'd love to hear it. Visit drumlinetoday.com to submit your work for future consideration. Special thanks this week to Kay Herman, Richard21, Drum Corps Tube, and Bill Bachman for sharing these great recordings that you heard in this episode. You can follow Drum Corps Tube on YouTube. Go to billbachman.com to find all of Bill Bachman's online courses for all types of drumming. Next week, we move past the warm-ups and into the book. We'll dig through some piles of shows and bring you some gold you might not be able to hear through your typical recordings. Drumline Today is written, produced, and edited by me, Gavin Guest. Subscribe and follow Drumline Today everywhere you do podcast and internet stuff.